Hey, you wanna support this show, keep it going, make it better? Why don't you say head on over to payjurydaily.com. Cool? Awesome. Oh, friends, Romans, countrymen, welcome to the JuRY Daily Podcast, YouTube show, extravaganza. It's your old pal, Justin Robert Young. Woke up this morning. For those of you who are fans of a lot of stuff that I do, then I'm here to tell you, if you listen to everything I do, which is not advised, because I have to listen to everything I do, and I can say, meh. But if you listen to everything that I do, then you will know that there's been a bit of a killing spree recently. I put 2 shows that I do weekly on hiatus this week, 1-900 Wrestling and Unfriend Me. This was a big, hard decision. I guarantee you there's no more shows that I'm going to be putting on hiatus. But I will say that part of the reason why I did take 2 shows off my schedule was so I could focus more on shows like JuRY Daily. So, thank you to everybody who has sent so many nice things, and I want to give a big shout out to Willie Dills Gregory and Scott Johnson, my co-hosts on those shows. They are both amazing people. It was very, very difficult trying to decide how I'm going to make more time for myself, and making those decisions specifically because I love both of those guys just immensely for so many different reasons. But that being said, we move on. Woke up today and called the Ulysses S. Grant Library. I'm going to keep updating you guys. I'm trying to move these contenders to presidential libraries because I feel like they belong in presidential libraries. So I called the Abraham Lincoln Library and the Ulysses S. Grant Library. The Ulysses S. Grant Library is in Mississippi State University. Fun fact for you today. Let's get into our story. I'm not going to lie to you, folks. I am a community-driven person. I think that's the best part about these shows. It's the best part about our little clique, our diamond club, if you will. And so sometimes I find a story and I think, man, I know a person who is going to specifically enjoy me talking about this. So I'm going to give a big shout out to one of our hardcores, one of our regulars, Tally Zarrell, because I'm going to talk about a RuPaul Drag Race alum who has gotten herself into some hot water. This is the headline from The Wrap. RuPaul's Drag Race star Bianca Del Rio booed for so-called jokes about rape. Now, what do you think? Should we play the clip first? Let's play the clip first. This is the clip that got Bianca Del Rio in trouble. This is at the Montreal Pride Festival. Here we go.
No! It's her fat ass going, I'm fat, and then the other one, I'm a black queen, and then you got that other bitch, I was raped! No, fuck you!
Oh my God. that crowd reaction fell off a cliff. Holy shit. Oh my God. All right. I'm going to get to, there's something that I adore about drag queen humor. We're going to get to it in a second, but I just want to, can we just luxuriate in this? This is, if you have never done comedy, you have to understand that there are ebbs and flows to an audience, right? And there's a fearlessness that you have to have, and you're bringing people along on a journey. And sometimes even when the audience is resistant, you have to push forward to allow them, to let them know, no, this is a safe space. We can laugh at things that we wouldn't normally laugh at. But every once in a while, when all the air gets sucked out of a room, you know it. And you know it because it sounds a little something like this.
Episode is her fat ass going, I'm fat, and then the other one, I'm a black queen, and then you got that other bitch, I was raped.
Oh my God. All right. She goes on to defend herself. Here we go. And this is, again, if you're a comedian, sometimes you gotta hold the audience's hand. You gotta say, listen, I know that you can't say this in the lunchroom, but I'm not in your lunchroom. I'm not your boss. I'm not beholden to HR. I'm a professional comedian. You're allowed to laugh at this. I'm telling you, this is a safe space. So you have to push through. But again, when all the air comes out, sometimes you start choking. Here's her defending herself.
No, fuck you. You noticed she wasn't raped till she was in the bottom two. Think about that, bitch. That's strategy. That's fucking strategy. Oh, fuck you. Rape is funny if you hadn't had it. Listen. And if you weren't raped, remember this. You're ugly.
All right. This is the story from The Wrap. RuPaul's Drag Race star Bianca Del Rio was criticized over a comedy routine at the Montreal Pride on Friday. Did I just call it the Montreal Pride? I'm actively becoming 67,000 years old. At the Montreal Pride on Friday, which included several jokes about rape and fellow Drag Race contestant Blair St. Clair's experience with sexual assault. You already heard what she said. This was in the U.S. Someone is sexually assaulted. This is a rebuke from St. Clair, who she was joking about. In the U.S., somebody is sexually assaulted every 2 minutes, but people persist in thinking that making rape or sexual assault jokes is comedy. It is not. Rape jokes contribute to rape culture. I'm going to go ahead and go out of my way right now and say that I do not know a lot about Bianca Del Rio or Blair St. Clair. I have not watched an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, despite the fact that all the clips I see make it seem like a fantastic show. I'm glad that it has had the success that it has had. I will say that I have always loved drag queen humor, because I have found that drag queen humor is one of, weirdly, it's like the last place where a certain kind of comedy has survived. There was a time when Sam Kinison, or probably even on a more crude and rudimentary level, like an Andrew Dice Clay, could, you know, and on a more maybe sophisticated or political level, like a Bill Hicks, could do very blunt comedy, like blunt instrument. I'm going to say the shit that is only said in hushed tones kind of comedy. And for whatever reason, that has been kind of out of favor in modern culture, and I'm not criticizing it. I think that there's plenty of reasons. Society goes in ebbs and flows, and what we deem to be funny or acceptable. There's no guarantees that anything will be funny forever. But weirdly enough, drag queen humor that has been allowed. And I don't know where or why. I don't know. At some point, you understand that, like, if you go down to the volcanic vents of the ocean, that life still exists. And you're like, wow, we didn't scientifically think that that was possible until we found it. So what I don't want to get into necessarily right now is whether those jokes were wrong. Well, actually, no, I do. But I want to get into it under the premise that it's kind of amazing that we're now starting to have these conversations with what I thought to be kind of the last bastion of that kind of speech, that blunt instrument. I'm going to push your buttons. I'm going to say shit that is offensive kind of comedy. Now, the reason why is, well, the reason why I think it exists there is fascinating. Because if you're a drag queen, you're obviously enmeshed in a culture that by its, very necessity is something that has experienced trauma. The LGBTQA plus community is something that in our modern understanding of it, hopefully that becomes different the further we move along, is a persecuted group. So the conversation starts with, well, we've all been through some shit. But now we're in a bar, and now we're celebrating, and now there's pageantry, and now there's fun, and now there's drinks. So inside this sanctum, the moat for which is pain, inside this sanctum, can we say whatever we want? Can we make the super blunt jokes? And I've always loved that. It seemed to me to just be this, like, curious little inner sanctum of comedy. Because as somebody that's grown up loving comedy, as somebody that's dabbled poorly in stage comedy, and who can, I guess I am a comedian of the internet, I do like to think, I am a bit of a purist when it comes to comedy and what you're allowed to say. I think you should be allowed to say anything. Now, I will say that it doesn't mean that you're allowed to say everything everywhere. And there is, of course, again, nothing is promised in terms of what is going to be funny to any audience. And ultimately, comedy is going to be something that is a relationship between the performer and the audience. It's not a one-way street. And so I have enjoyed the fact that drag queens can do it. If nobody else is allowed to do it, at least drag queens can say wild shit. I've never gone to any kind of show where a drag queen comedy is on display, any drag show, which I'm going to admit, my dance card ain't exactly full when it comes to how many drag shows I've been, but I've certainly been to a handful, enough to understand that this exists. So it's interesting that now we can have this conversation here, that even in the community, the moat for which is pain, the moat for which is persecution, inside that castle, inside the inner sanctum, this is the Montreal Pride Festival, and for drag culture, there are no larger, please correct me if I'm wrong, if my understanding on this is incorrect, but there is no larger celebrities, contemporary, new, rising star celebrities than the contestants on RuPaul's Drag Race, that the caustic one of them gets shit for that joke. So, here's who I want to hear from. Comedy fans. I want to hear from RuPaul's Drag Race fans who know more about these people than I do. And I want to hear from people who are far more immersed in drag culture than I do to let me know, was this over the line? Was this something that was too far? Is this something that is welcome? That you want to know what? Maybe people were too fucking loose. Even in drag culture, we're too fucking loose with some of the shit in there. And also, let's just hear one more time.
Every episode is her fat ass going, ooh, I'm fat.
I mean, like, those jokes, I know they are the fucking, like, rudimentary. This is, like, playground level comedy, but I fucking love it. I love, like, these.
See that? Every episode is her fat ass going, ooh, I'm fat.
Like, come on. How could, like, I don't know why it tickles me, but just, I'm fat. Like, it's just very funny to me.
And then the other one, oh, I'm a black queen. And then you got that other bitch, I was raped.
Oh, my God, though. Jesus. You can just hear the whoosh, whoosh of all the air leaving. All right. Let's get into our emails. Carl wrote in, listening to your August 9th show, I realized that one area you haven't changed about the JuRY program is the ending. And that is my request for people to please don't die. If you ever decide to start mixing up different closing lines, I think a good one would be, please remember to give Mr. Wacky a round of applause. I do like maybe ending some shows with, please remember to give Mr. Wacky a round of applause and please don't die. We'll see if we can work that in. I asked YouTube to give me one word. I was talking about the girl who made the Tinder stunt over the weekend, brought out a bunch of dudes, revealed to them that this would be an elimination challenge to see who would want to date her. And just at the premise, I asked people to pause their YouTube and give me one word to describe this situation and that woman specifically. I'm going to read them for you now. Cunt was the first. Shocking. And that was her first word to describe this woman on YouTube. Nope. Walk. Capitalism, which wound up being right, considering the fact that we don't know who this was viral marketing for. Thirsty, and goodbye. But Joe King did write this in, also from YouTube. I feel really bad for this girl. I question how involved with the project she really is. What if she's just an actress who got hired to play this role? If so, she's taking all the heat for the producer's shitty reality show idea. And that's true. You know, nobody's like, hey, this viral marketer's a piece of shit. They're not saying, oh, this viral marketer's a cunt. All right. That wraps it up for us. A reminder, big shout out to our producers, The Jen, PD Rave, Nonspecific, Rock and Roll Martian, Joe Acosta, and Will. You can email me, jurydaily@gmail.com, Twitter and Instagram @JustinRYoung. Oh, wait. Y'all didn't think I forgot, did you? Y'all didn't think that I forgot on the false finish that I could give you a little bit of high thoughts.
I want to roll down a hill. Why don't adults do that anymore? I feel there should be more yelling and a bit of panic involved when saying crashing waves. When will Captain Morgan become Commodore Morgan? If everyone had to do what their last name said, we'd have an access of blacksmiths, but no pizza delivery people. What does a tree do if it gets bored of its view? People say that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, but its job is to be on pizza. So doesn't he belong there? Don't deny him his job. High Thoughts should be a Patreon exclusive at the level of $4.20.
Email me, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Justin R. Young. Might have some High Thoughts merch coming. Remember, if you want to write in your High Thoughts, whenever you happen to have High Thoughts, go ahead and send them in. JuRYDaily@gmail.com. Put High Thoughts in the subject line. Until tomorrow, please remember to give Mr. Wacky a round of applause. And please don't die.
Do you like the way you're dressed up? Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.